Anybody know anything about Chiron? Does anybody know anything about Chiron? What is Chiron? Well, welcome to the page, little homework gathering, smoke session, you know what I'm saying? So if you're a smoker, right on up, join the session. If y'all have any astrology questions or anything, feel free to type them in. I'll try to answer them if I can. Chiron. What is the name of Chiron? Probably heard it before. Chiron. Chiron is actually called the wounded healer. Chiron is the wounded healer. What's up, man? Man, every time I try that shit 3 times to start that shit, man. I don't know what the hell. Then it won't let me do a joke. It won't let me do it from the iPad. It won't let me go live together from the iPad. So I got to do it from the phone. And I even had my pen out, just trying to push the little thing. I don't know. Tried to turn my phone sideways, all this shit. All right. So, what's up, everybody? I appreciate it if you like I got 1 like. There's 4 people in here. Appreciate it if you y'all hit the like. Now, Chiron in astrology is the wounded healer, right? And in folklore, Chiron is a centaurian. Do y'all know what a centaurian? Right? Half man, half horse. Half man, half horse. Yeah, yeah. It could be said that Chiron is the cousin. Chiron is the cousin of in a way, Chiron is the cousin of the Sag. What's up, Scott? What's happening with you? We talking about Chiron. Scott, you into astrology? We have a little everybody on their key and pill shit on. Everybody want to be a funny guy, huh? Hey, Ryan. Hey, Ryan. All right. Yeah. So, what is Chiron? Like I said, Chiron is a Centaurian. It's half man, half horse. And then, Chiron was discovered. Chiron was discovered in 1977, right? And a lot of times they look at what's going on when a planet or something is discovered. Um they when a planet is discovered, they to figure out what's going on with it, they look around at the times, what was going on at the time of its finding, right? What was going on at the time of its finding. So, and that was 1977. I was I was before a lot of you guys probably in here were born. Right? So let me pay attention now. All right. Now, Chiron, everybody got Chiron in their natal chart, right? And Chiron represents a wound that we were born with. In a way, can I say that Chiron represents biblically speaking, Chiron represents original sin. What'd you say? I said Chiron, in a way, represents original sin because all of us got a Chiron, and all of us as souls, according to Big J, that, we all, Adam and Eve, according to the Bible, Adam and Eve fucked it up for all of us. And so Chiron, in a way, can be our Adam and Eve wound. That damn Paul always trying to pull the goddamn Bible in this mug. How dare you connect astrology and the Bible? All right, so Chiron represents, it blends healing, deep wounds, and the potential for transformation. Did y'all hear that word? It said potential for transformation. What's that, gatekeeper? Potential for transformation. Potential for transformation. What words stands out? Transformation probably stood out to y'all, but what stood out to me? Potential. Because just because you got the potential to do something, that don't mean your ass gonna do that shit. That don't mean your ass is gonna do that shit. All right? Smoke them if you got them. So Chiron represents areas of life where we carry pain, vulnerability, insecurity, but it's also where we have the capacity to teach and heal others, because in all actuality, we are supposed to be working on our Chiron wounds. And for the people who do the Chironic work, At that point, when you learn your lesson, you can teach, or you can teach and help others from that wounded place, right? Because through your experience, through our experience that we gain through trying to out of the pull yourself out of the mud, let's per se, the quicksand, the lessons and all of that shit that you learn trying to do all of that. Hey, the lessons and all of that stuff that you learn trying to pull yourself out of that stuff, that is the information in which you're going to be distributing to others when you see others stuck in that same space, that same quicksand space, right? So I said Chiron is the wounded healer, right? Now, to understand something, you really got to break it down to its core. Now, what is a wound? Yeah, there's all kind of wounds. There's a flesh wound, there's a deep wound, but when it comes to Chiron, these wounds is not going to be visible that you could put a Band-Aid on, wrap an ace Band-Aid around it, or go put some ice on it. It ain't that type of wound. Hey, pour a little alcohol, a little methylate on it. You'll be all right. Let it burn for a little while. So wounds, the chironic wounds show up as inadequacies, rejection, vulnerability, shit like that. And it actually can lead us to a whole lifetime of battling this shit. From the cradle to the grave. in my Tupac voice, from the cradle to the grave. You could be battling with this shit unless you do the chironic work, and then at that point you become the centurion, right? Oh, I forgot to tell you the story of Chiron. Chiron, so he's the centurion, and he learned how to heal everything, right? And he got wounded, right? And so Chiron walked the earth, and he learned how to heal everything but himself. He learned how to heal everything in the world except for his own wound. So that is part of the story. That's why Chiron, that's where he was vulnerable, at his own wound. Even the great warrior Achilles had a weak spot, his heel, his tendon, the Achilles heel. All right. Now, not only is I said we come in, we are born from the cradle, we come in with this wound, but the other part of that is, we just talked about Chiron is the wounded healer, and we just addressed the wound. The wound, the wound is about, like I said, all the things that you feel some type of way about, all those things that begrudge you. That dude, that person that didn't give you that money back and you still butthurt about that shit. That might be your chironic wound. That might have been touching on that. But it's the wounded healer. So we just addressed the wound. What about healing? And how do I thank you, brother. Um healing is actually an action word. You could be wounded from lack of action or from some of your action, but the actual healing part, the healing is actually, you have to take an active role with that healing. And chironic healing is also where we can grow and develop our wisdom by confronting our wounds instead of avoiding them. Confronting wounds instead of avoiding them. I guess when it comes to Chiron, the best approach would be approaching it like the buffalo. Like approaching it like a buffalo does a storm. The buffalo runs into the storm to get on the other side quicker, not sit, hey, let's hang out here, marinating on this storm shit. Hell no, let's run into this shit because, if the storm moving this way and we move that way, shit, we don't have to deal with it that long. Yeah, and people do that. Would that be avoidance? Trying to outrun the storm? That would be avoidance, right? But here's the problem with avoidance or trying to outrun the storm. The older you get, the less stamina you got. What's that mean? Oh, it's gonna catch you sooner or later. If you don't fall out from the run, if you don't fall out from the running, if you don't catch a heart attack from all the running away, oh, the storm gonna come and get you and drown your ass as you lay there on the ground because you can't move. The water going, or all that rain gonna go up your nose, and it's gonna be like you naturally getting waterboarded. Y'all see how I got there? Because I'm waterboarded. Right? But wounded healer, right? And people, who signs up for a wound, right? So if we at a fair and we say, hey, you want to take this ride on this roller coaster, or you want to take this ride with this wound, what line is going to be longer? The roller coaster or the wounded line? And not too many people just want to step in and ride the ride of wounds. But it's inevitable. We got to do it. But this the wounding and the healing is all about to teach you something. And after it teaches you, and once you learn the lesson, it's all it's about it's a cycle. Everything's a cycle. So once you learn the lesson of your womb, at that point, that's when you're supposed to become a guide for others. Right? Even though, we got some selfish people that just want to think about themselves, in all actuality, y'all, we are connected. And we all still connected back to the source, and we all go back to the one. Even that motherfucker who out here doing that fuck shit. Right? So now, personally for you, you got to look at where is your Chiron in your chart to figure out, well, now that y'all are on that page, where's my wound at, right? You got to look at not only the sign. The sign is going to cover, a nice couple of years of people, right? But so it's not only about the sign, it's really about the house in which you find your Chiron falling in. Right? So the house will show you the subject or area in which this wound shows up in your life. And the sign is the flavor in which Chiron, right? So babies being born right now, they are being born with Chiron and Aries. I personally got Chiron and Aries as well. So babies being born now, I share something with the wounds that babies being born now are going through. And my Chiron is in Aries, and Chiron is currently traveling through Aries. Right? And so, what does that mean? Look at where your Chiron is in your chart. Let's just say you got Chiron and Taurus in the second house or something. Even though I'm talking about this transit of, now I'm about to talking about the transit of Chiron because it's in Aries. This transit has something to do with that Chiron in your second house of your bag, your money, your self-worth, the things you bring to the world. What I'm trying to tell y'all is how y'all take a transit, listen to what somebody's talking about in the transit, and then bring it back into your personal chart. So Chiron and Aries is about self-assertion. The wounds can be about self-assertion, identity, and courage. Because Aries, if you look at Aries, what is Aries about? Those things. It's the first sign of the begins the zodiac. That's what it talks about, asserting yourself. Identity. Why is Aries the first house? Because when it comes to identity in Aries, they get that mostly from the first house connection. Right? But courage, because Aries is the warrior. And what is Aries? It's a ram. It's two rams. And you ever watch two rams battle? What stops the battle? When one ram says, "Uncle, I can't take no more. No mas," like Roberto Duran. No mas. Hey, Melissa, how you doing? We just talking about Chiron. Are you familiar with Chiron? Now, now, um, now, this um, Chiron not only have to do. So Chiron is currently in Aries, and now when it comes to making it personal, now you got to find Aries in your chart. Where does Aries fall? What house does Aries fall in your chart? Because that's where Chiron is going through right now, right? So if you have Chiron, if Aries is your seventh house of relationships, so this would be a Libra rising, right? The wounds and challenges coming up right now has to do with partnerships and relationships and intimacy. And you know what intimacy is? Into you, I see. Into you, I see. And what's up? What's up, Eli? What's up, Amy? How you doing? Are you familiar with astrology, Amy? Have you ever looked at your birth chart? If you have, Chiron in your birth chart looks like it's the K. It looks like a K with a line and a circle on the bottom. That's what Chiron looks like in your chart. Looks like a K with a long with a ball at the bottom of it, dangling in a way. And so, how old are you? How old are you? 38. So, um, Chiron's orbit is Chiron's orbit is it's erratic, but it usually takes around 50 years for it, 50 years to go all the way around the sun. All right, so it spends about roughly about it could each sign is different, so it could spin in between 4 years or maybe longer in one sign. Right? So, hey, mental, what you got? Chiron and Taurus. What you was born mental? Don't you have Chiron and Taurus? You get Gemini. So Amy, you may have mental. You 40. What you was born? What year you was born, Amy? Fuck it. 86. So, huh. So yeah, you with mental. All right, that's some shit. Hmm. Yeah, you with mental. Your Chiron is in Gemini, right? So your wound, your 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 Adam and Eve sin, your Adam and Eve sin that Jesus came to heal, save you from. But Mr. Mark, yeah, your wound has to do with communication in some way. Either lack thereof, or, either lack thereof, either you don't talk or you talk too damn much and you need to learn how to listen. I don't know. I'm just being general. That's the two extremes. But your wound has something to do with communication in a way. And some, hey, it could be, it could be, I don't know, you could be an artist of some type, painter or visual arts, but you don't put your shit out there or something, right? So, mm. well, in all actuality, hmm, what's your sign? What's your sign? Capricorn. Well, some of the reason. Wait, 86. You 86. Yeah. So, well, some of that, some of that. Yes, I agree. I have always been quiet, people pleasing, and just not learning to speak up after. Well, the speaking up part has to do with Chiron, yeah. But the other part of that would be probably because you got Saturn. Uh, huh, huh, uh, yeah, you got Saturn in Sagittarius. So when it comes to beliefs, what you believe and your philosophy in life, speaking up about that shit, you may struggle with. I don't even know when your birthday is or whatever, but So yeah, so um, man, so Chiron, right? So like for instance, like I say, both of y'all, um, you and mental have Chiron and Gemini, so it's going to be about communication. Uh, Spicy heart there. She has Chiron and Taurus, so the flavor is, and that's by the way, mm, the flavor that Gemini is the flavor in which it shows up. The area in your life that it shows up in is going to be the house. So I don't know your rising sign. So, but like for instance, like Mr. Mental, his Chiron falls in his second house because that's where Gemini is, and so it would be about him communicating about things that he value and all of that shit, right? Um, Spicy heart there. She has Taurus, so it has to do with values, what she values against what Taurus would be her 10th. So what she values and what the public values. Now, and it might not be the same thing. Now, how could she stand in that energy of, hey, even though y'all value that shit, I'm gonna be over here, you know? It's kind of like being mm, can you be can you be the only vegetarian at a barbecue? Right? Yeah, so I'm just being general. I'm not including like the ruler, where the ruler of your Chiron is, and all of that. I ain't including none of that. I ain't including. I'm just talking about um, I'm just talking about Chiron in general, and you know what it can mean. All right. So Chiron, like I said, Chiron is about turning personal pain into wisdom and empowerment, both for yourself and for those of your influence. All right. Yeah. So y'all might be thinking, hey, Paul, why? I mean, this is Saturday, and that stuff. Why do you feel the need to speak about Chiron today? Why are you speaking about Chiron? Why are you bringing this shit up? Huh. Hey, Amy, still here? If so, when's your birthday? I'm curious about something. Oh, shit. Interesting. That's my son's birthday, my oldest son, 12/28. Hey, hey, Amy, do you think being 3 days after Christmas that um you got screwed? You would get you would get shafted out of, when people combine Christmas and birthday with you. Hey, here's your birthday Christmas present. Oh, okay, good, 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 good. Mm, mm. So 12/28/86. Yeah. Well, I had it on 86 and where I had it set at, I was like, damn. I wonder if that's because if it was, I was gonna have something to say to you, but since it's not, I don't have anything to say to you. Oh, I do have something to say to you. You know your rising sign? I wanted to say Scorpio, but I have to go back on that. What time of day you were born? You know that? If you're a Scorpio, right, 12:40 a.m. What city? New Jersey? Let's see. Let me change. Edit. Because, well, if he was born on New Jersey, that's Central Time. I mean, what you call it? East Coast Time. 18. Look like you're Libra rising. That's why I asked, because you said Scorpio rising and and yeah. That's what. And when I pulled it up from where I live at, it was Libra rising. And mm, mm. All right. Why was I asking you that? Why did I want to know that? I'll just tell you. Because where I was looking at your Jupiter, you got Jupiter at you got Jupiter at 16 degrees Pisces, which is in a sign that rules, right? But the North Node is in Pisces right now, and the North Node, its transit is backwards, and the North Node has something to do with um, energy of increase. Now, if you believe in reincarnation, if you believe that you've been here before, then the North Node points to um, what your soul wants to do, or the energy of what your soul needs to learn. South Node talks about what you need to walk away from. Not totally walk away from, because the South Node offers gifts. So I'm sitting up here looking, I'm like, damn, I know, when is this gonna happen? In about oh shit. Oh damn. Oh damn. Oh damn. Yeah. You like I said, your Jupiter is at 16 degrees. And let's see, when is the North? No, we're gonna hit that shit. somewhere around November. In November, the North Node is going to be on top of your Jupiter somewhere around that time. All right. All right. So you got the planet in the sign of it rules Jupiter, and it rules. Well, I'm traditional, so Jupiter rules Pisces, and it rules Sagittarius. All right. Mm. Um, your Pisces falls in your sixth house of daily routine and health. Right. Your Jupiter is in Pisces in the sixth house of daily routine, health, life, and etc. But that Jupiter also rules your third house of communication. And so, by the way, that Chiron, this the North Node, you also that ain't the only thing you have in Pisces. Um, your Mars is in Pisces, so the North Node already hit your. It already hit your Pisces. It already hit your Mars. It hit your Mars mm, in June this year. Around June, it hit your Mars. And your Mars rules your second house of money value, self esteem, self worth, and it also rules your seventh house of relationships and business contracts. And Mars likes to cut itself. And you have Jupiter and your Mars together. Is there some is there some business contract or relationship you have been having that messes with your self-esteem, self-worth, and self-value, and either it's taking you off your path, or there's or vice versa. There's some relationship or something you need to help you get back on your path because it's messing with your daily routine and health on a healthy. Uh, well, this the six is square to the third, and the third house is siblings, and you actually have three planets in the third. So, ooh, and your Saturn is there. Um, hmm. Mercury is there in detriment, and that Mercury rules your 12th house of self-undoing and ninth house of higher life. Ninth house where your Gemini is and and the wounded healer and stuff. I've been no contact with them. My dad committed suicide last year. My mom cheated on him with a homeless man. Dealt with my husband's alcohol intake and now he's sober. Oh, there's the Pisces. There's the Pisces in the health. In the relationship, trying to cut and sever your husband away from Pisces, wanting to escape Pisces issues. Hey, I'm trying to grow and expand. And you fucking with my money, all this drinking. Uh-huh. And then the Mercury being in detriment, and which would be which rules your 12th house, overcritical. Somebody was overcritical. Somebody overcritical. Don't let you talk, and they only do is push their beliefs on you. Anyway. Yeah, this Jupiter, yeah, I dealt with that for many years. Well, yeah, there's different forms of escapism. You know, a lot of Pisces takes the drink and drug route, but there's excessive TV, a lot of sleeping, watching movies and shit like that. You know what I mean? It's shit like that. Let's say North Node and Pisces. What the North Node and traveling through Pisces, the soul's evolutionary path involves surrender, faith, and transcendence and compassion. Mm. And your North Node is actually in Aries. So you've had working on partnerships has been a lifelong lesson for you. Now here's the question. Uh, mm. All right, I'm gonna just say it. I don't really, only reason I'm telling you this because me and you share the same moon sign. You're a Scorpio moon. I'm a Scorpio moon. With that being said, that's not why I'm telling you this. The reason I'm telling you this is what you got next to your Scorpio moon, which is Venus. Now, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio. And Venus in your chart, not only it rules the eighth house of deep bonded relationships, shared assets, sex, the occult. So your Venus rules the eighth house, but it also rules something else. With you being a Libra rising, Venus is your chart ruler. And so you sitting up here and you talking about I'm a big ass Capricorn and all of that. No, you're not. You act more like a Scorpio than a Capricorn. You just can't see that you act like a Scorpio more than a Capricorn. Because your chart ruler, Venus, is in a blind spot in the second house of self-esteem, self-worth, and value. Now, drum roll, now we getting to why I'm bringing this up to you. It really wasn't about your moon being in Scorpio, because the moon in Scorpio, that's the worst place for it to be. We have moon and fall. The moon hates Scorpio. That's the worst place for the moon to be. And then you got your chart ruler in detriment right next to a moon and fall. And that moon and fall, it rules your 10th house of reputation, how you seen in the outer world. And that moon and fall is in your second house of self-esteem, self-worth, right next to your chart ruler, which is you and your essence, your life, and your vitality. Do you know the life lesson of Scorpio energy, Amy? The life lesson of Scorpio energy is to learn how to let go of shit. Now, I had that problem, and if I had that problem with my Scorpio moon, I definitely know you got that goddamn problem with a Scorpio moon and your chart ruler nestled all up underneath the moon. You just can't see it. So you've been in relationships, you got deep bonded relationships with motherfuckers that fuck with your money, that cost you money, and they really fuck with your self-esteem and self-worth and make you feel worse about yourself. Which probably affects your health on a daily basis. Hey, Amy, you know, it's good to know about boundaries. It's good to, know about the concept of boundaries and all of that shit. Oh, know about healthy boundaries. But knowing the concept and knowing what healthy boundaries are don't mean shit if you don't do shit when somebody crossed them boundaries. Mm. Mm. And Amy, when I say, hey, Scorpio, by the way, now emotionally, you Scorpio energy and your chart ruler. What do I mean by chart ruler? Amy, if all your planets in your chart went out drinking, see, you've been thinking the sun was driving home. But nah, that sun ain't driving up your planets. Your Venus in detriment over there in Scorpio is the designated driver, and you ain't know it. And it's sitting over there emotional next to the moon, holding on to grudges, things that people hurt and all that, just sitting there driving. I can't believe. And motherfuckers borrowed some money from you, never gave back. I can't believe. When they gonna give it back? You just holding on to all the goddamn shit. You just driving all you playing the song. Amy, you just ran a red light. I don't give a fuck. I'm mad. All right, so yeah. That's why I'm telling you this shit. It's because that blind spot. I can see you got this big ass blind spot with Scorpio energy, and then with this North Node sitting right on. Matter of fact, the North Node currently, right now, is sitting in between your Mars and your Jupiter. Mars likes to grow and expand. By the way, when I'm looking at this, that Mars at 22 degrees, that's your friend. Jupiter isn't. And Jupiter likes to grow and expand. Or Jupiter is the energy of overindulgence. Wait, Amy. Now, wait, hold up. With your Saturn, hey, mental, man, I wish, man, I wish I could have had this joint thing because, hey, mental, Amy is a candidate to warn about that person who feel they have never been heard, and all of a sudden, it's like that dog let off the leash and just want to bite everybody. Ha, 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 ha. So hopefully, Amy, you'll learn, even though it's good, and I'm glad you are finally speaking up and all of that stuff, you might need to consider tempering it down. What's the healthy balance? What's the healthy balance? What's the between, telling everybody off and then being a fucking doormat and letting them tell you off and everything? Right? And interesting enough, you say you're 38 years old. Being 38 years old, you're on a year of communication. So 37, you was working on your self-esteem, self-worth. 38 is about communication. That's why things with your siblings and all of that stuff, you could be taking short distance travel, stuff like that. Yeah. Well, now I got a question for you, Amy. Whose fault was that? Mm. Hey, Amy, what do you think about this statement? Or what comes to mind? Or what do you think? Well, when I say this, you have to train people how to treat you. What is that? What do you think I mean by that? And do you agree with that? Now, I do have to warn you that you got to be ready and willing to stand your ground, right? Because you're gonna be tested, and in a way, because so many people are so used to the old Amy that they got to get adjusted to the new, and so some people gonna accept them adjustments, and some people ain't gonna fight that shit. Oh hell no! You know, not everybody welcomes change. Not everybody welcomes, change in a person. A lot of people fight that shit. We we want the old Amy back. Yeah, you want to know why? You want to know why, Amy? Because she trained you how to treat her. And you're going against the training. How dare you? I trained you to be my lap dog. You're supposed to be up here letting me pet you on the head. How dare you try to piss on my leg? Oh, shit. Yeah. So, So, be honest with you, it's you on the third house year. Your third house is Sagittarius, which means that Jupiter is active. That's making Jupiter active, and that stellium in your chart active. You got Saturn, Uranus, Mercury. You got Saturn, Uranus, Mercury, all in Sagittarius, which is activated. Since you're on the third house, that means not only is the third house active, whatever is in that third house and what they control is active. Your Mercury is active, so it's about beliefs and endings. 12th house, self-undoing, and beliefs. What's up there? Chiron. What we talking about? Your Chiron, wounded healer, in communication, about beliefs, self-undoing, coming to an end, right? Then you have Saturn up in there. Saturn is a blocker. It likes to block shit. You a night bird. Saturn's a day planet. So this Saturn ain't working for you. And when it comes to Saturn, not only does it rule your sun in the 4th house, it actually rules your 5th house too, of kids and lovers. And so this can, if you got a kid, this communication shit goes to your kids and your lover, i.e. husband. And then that shit is sandwiched in between Uranus, the planet of shock and awe, unpredictable. Right? And your Jupiter, and now I gotta find Jupiter. Because where's Jupiter? Oh, Jupiter's over there in the sign of rules, Pisces, who likes to overindulge. And it's sitting right there next to Mars. Oh, now since Jupiter's sitting next to Mars, that's activating Mars. Boom. Now Well, what does Mars rule? Seventh house of relationships, uh, second house of self-esteem, self-worth. What am I saying? This is this you get into it. You get into a year of communication. The buck stops here when it comes to lovers, kids, people from your childhood in the home that's fucking with your health and self-esteem on a daily basis. They believe this shit, but you don't believe that shit, and you don't communicate that shit. And it's kind of like, and here's the other part. What makes it worse? Your ass don't know how to let go. So mental. You ever see somebody? Let's think of a lake full of shit, and Amy has been swimming in a lake doing a backstroke in a lake full of shit, and he said, "Hey, Amy, get out that lake. It stinks. You might get sick." No, I'ma stay here. I'm a Scorpio moon, and my chart ruler is Scorpio. I'm loyal emotionally. I don't know how to cut shit off. I don't know how to let go. But it stinks in there. Come on. Get on over here. Get out the lake. No, my family, my friends, and all of them are over here. You don't see them? They over there, they got flotation devices, and they got their shades out, and they drinking lemonade out of straws. So I gotta stay here with them. No, you don't. Who told you that? My superior. What superior? The one that's overcritical and just be beating me up and all of that shit with words. But why you gotta stay with them? That's family. That's family. Who gives a fuck? Aren't you supposed to stay with family? No. Who the fuck told you that? My family. Get the fuck away from this shit. What's up, Tam? Hey, you taking me through all these changes. You're making me do all of this shit. You're costing me money. All of this shit. You fuck with my self-esteem and self-worth. But I gotta hold on to you. Why? Till death do us part. Who the fuck told you that? The church? Well, that moon rules your 10th house of reputation. So how is this gonna look? But how does it look? You keep fucking with that shit. How does that make you look? Well, Amy, I don't know. You said, damn, I don't even follow you and all this shit. How did I end up in the room? Hey, Amy, you ended up in the room. You see Tam there? You see Brain Repair there? Hey, Spicy, you see Spicy there? And me. You ended up in a room with some people think the definition of family means blood. You ended up in a room with these other people and me that don't have, let's just say, you ended up in the room of the black sheep of the family. I know I'm black, no pun intended, but you know. What's up, Mystical? What's going on? Yeah. So, you know, yeah. All right. So, yeah. You look, you got your son, which rules your 11th house of friends and groups that you connected to and all of that shit. Your family and all of that shit might be connected to traditional. Capricorn is traditional. And Capricorn people respect tradition and the authority. So in all actuality, when it comes to your family and you looking at them as authority figures, it's kind of like you going against your natural energy saying, hey, fuck y'all don't know what the fuck y'all talking about. Excuse my French. Right? So, but there's good news for you, Amy. There's good news. Why? Well, Amy, I know you don't know me, but I always like to bring everything full circle. Things bring it back full circle. All right. So we got off on the weeds, kind of. I'm gonna come on back, right? What's the title of this? Chiron. You came in, you was like, damn, I ain't never heard of Chiron. What is Chiron? I was like, oh shit. Chiron is the wound, the healing, and all that. Boom. But there's a reason I'm talking about Chiron. Because I'm doing my homework. I'm sitting up here doing my homework for next week, you know, for the video about to put out and shit. Getting all that organized and together. You know, I'm going day by day. But something kept standing out to me as I went through. All week next week, Chiron kept popping up. Boom, boom, boom. Man, why Chiron keep? What's up with Chiron? So that's, you know, okay, man, let me think about Chiron for a little while. So I had just rolled one up. So let me come on up here and talk to y'all about Chiron. Plus, it's kind of like a teaser for what's going on with Chiron next week. I can tell you one thing though, Amy. What day will it be? There is an opportunity this week for you and your family. What day is it? Friday. Friday? Is it Friday? Yeah, Friday. But it's a couple of days, right? Because the moon's gonna go into Cancer, and it's gonna square Chiron, and then Venus is currently in Cancer, and it's gonna square Chiron this week, and the Sun is gonna trine Chiron beginning of the week, and then the Moon going trine Chiron. So Venus is going to square Chiron, the Sun going to hit Chiron, the Moon going to hit Chiron. As all the other shit going on. But I'm like, this is the shit that's going on in the background of, other shit. And then, this the last week of Leo season, thank God. That may show up in the video. I might have to poke. I already got the beginning. As we come to the end of Leo season and welcome what some say is the best season of all, Virgo season. As we say goodbye. Right? And look, y'all. All of this is happening this week. And it's building up to the beginning of Virgo season. And there's a new moon in Virgo, right? It's like, depending on where you at, Saturday morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning, or, if you're on the West Coast, it's going to be like Friday night, like 11 o'clock. That'll be the new moon. Virgo new moon. So, we got all this Chironic energy going on, right? All during the week leading up to this new moon. Boom. In Virgo. At 0 degrees, too. So, yeah. So I came on here to talk about Chiron to try to I'm really trying to figure out how is this a week of healing or a week of wounding or a week of opportunities to heal some wounds, or will some wounds be getting busted wide open? What's that song, Mental? Busted wide open, busted wide open. Pull the scab off. All right. So yeah, I'm the only one what? I'm the only one what? So where's Aries in your chart, right? Because, yeah, all of this stuff is going down from Aries, it's hitting this Chiron. Yeah. And then Mercury and Mars are going to be doing this little dance a little bit this week. Uh, uh. I know y'all don't know what the ch and the mean, and the ch and the means. I tell you, they're gonna meet up at a degree, sextile, separate, come back together at another degree, and then separate. Mercury, from a sextile aspect, it's going to be a sextile aspect, so it's supporting, but Mars is in detriment in Libra, and Mercury's over there in Leo. It is Mercury is moving direct, but it hasn't made it back out of its shadow phase part of as the part of retracing the steps to where it first went retrograde, which would be 15 degrees, 14, 15 degrees Leo. All right. It's a the Chiron's potent role in this week's astrological narrative suggests that it's time for deep, meaningful, and possibly uncomfortable healing. The lessons and breakthroughs you experience this week are likely to be tied to self-worth, your identity, and your ability to form healthy relationships after being wounded. You know what that speaks of? That person who was cheated on and all that shit. Now that the relationship's over there, you gun shy to go out there and do it again. This week's climax will be on Friday, leading into the new moon in Virgo, a powerful indicator that you're meant to take the lessons from the emotion. See, now here's the thing. I got a question for y'all. No, I said the new moon is this week. It's basically Friday, Saturday. Should I just mention this new moon? Do a weekly thing and mention the new moon, but then actually do a separate new moon video? Or should I because like I said, I haven't even dug into what this new moon is really about. Because this new moon is actually the beginning of a cycle that'll come to an end in February. So do I want to make one video or should I make two? Or maybe I could make two, just put a little bit of the new moon stuff in it as a teaser, but say if you really want to get a new moon breakdown and all that shit, you need to check out the new moon video. But then at that point, if I do a new moon video, I guess I'm gonna have to y'all gonna want some goddamn rising sign information. When I do the weekly thing, I don't have to do no rising sign information. But if I do new moon shit, people gonna be wanting to know, all right, well, what is this intention gonna be said? Well, where the fuck is your Virgo house at, man? I don't know, fuck. Decisions. I got a question. Uh, Eclipse in Virgo. They, yes and no. Um, because the moon casts a wide orb. This new moon is going to be at 0 degrees, and the nose is at 18. Right. Let me see. Where would it be at the time? What degree? Um, yeah, it's still there. So 18 degrees. The orb of an eclipse is, I want to say 15. 15. But then no, a full eclipse is like within 8 degrees, and then a partial eclipse is from 8 to, I want to say 15. So this is basically is the reason I'm saying yeah, no, because it's right at the edge of catching of eclipse energy. Like let's just say a cusp. It's on the cusp. Mm-hmm. You're welcome. Did it hopefully it was helpful and it resonated. Yeah. Amy, let's just say it was your lucky day. You caught me at the right time. You caught me at the right time, for real. Um. So, thanks. By the way, Amy, that was just me coming off the top of the head. If you want, but if I do homework on your chart, the reading gets even deeper. And I ain't even talked to you about all your planning, so you can come to the website, book a reading, and all that shit. Anyway, so the wounded, and thank you for actually, participating. The context of the wounded healer, the healing, I asked, is the healing the active part? It says, the healing is not just an active part, but the core of the paradox. It's a process that is both active and born from a place of passivity. The initial wounding. Oh shit. So your wounding has to do with your Chiron in that place has to do with you being passive. It says the alchemy of the wound. The core idea is that the wound itself is the source of wisdom and empathy. You actively work to transform your own pain, suffering, and shortcomings into a source of understanding and compassion. This isn't a passive process. You still in here, mental? This isn't a passive process of simply having a wound. It's the conscious and courageous effort to face it, learn from it, and integrate it. Remember we was talking about lack of effort earlier? And I asked you, is lack of effort, is lack of effort the the politically correct way of saying lazy? Now I gotta ask you this, mental. Is passive, is that another politically correct word? By the way, anybody in the chat can respond to that. I was just speaking of mental because we talked about this earlier. About lack of effort. And if y'all want to know where that conversation came from, it actually snowballed from Mental's Live last night about the microwave generation and wanting in everything fast and all of that. And so I asked the question about, in a way, we invent things to make it easier or put less effort to do the same job. Right? There's an impact. The wound gives the wounded healer a unique ability to connect with others who suffer. It's an active act of empathy. Being able to say, I know what that's like. And providing a genuine lived-in understanding that a person who hasn't experienced a similar wound might not be able to offer. And I could see why that is a good thing, because a lot of times when you talk to somebody and they're talking about their problems, if you ever talk to somebody who feels like the world revolves around them, a lot of times they act like their problem is unique to them. This ain't never happened to nobody else in the world. What? Hey, we all have our uniqueness, but problems are not unique. Problems are universal. Situations, events and stuff like that. That's universal. But what it does help is, be honest with you. I tell, what has me doing all these readings and all that shit, what has it done for me? What has it done for Paul? It's done more than just help me understand astrology. It's helped me lighten up on myself and not take shit so goddamn serious. Hey, y'all, you know how many stories I done heard and was like, God damn, I'm glad I ain't have to go through that. God damn, I'm glad I ain't have to go through that. God damn, I'm glad I ain't have to go through that. Shit, maybe my life ain't that bad after all. Shit, let me shut the fuck up and keep it pushing. Which reminds me of that joke. A joke. They once had a man walk into the cross store. a cross, crosses. Like Jesus, the cross Jesus was up on. And the guy in the cross saw, said, "Hey, sir, may I help you?" And the guy said, I was thinking about getting a new cross. I really don't like the cross, my guy, And so the guy said, "Hey, we got plenty of crosses around here. Take your time. Take your pick, make your pick." So the guy, he goes around, he starts looking at the crosses, put this on, this cross, wow, man, this cross is kind of heavy. Nah, this cross don't smell right. Somebody who was carrying on this, I don't like this smell. No, this cross is kind of too light. Nah, this cross too wide. It's too wide. I don't like this. Hey, man, I like this cross. This cross fits. Yeah. Sir, I think I'll take this cross. And the guy says, "That's the cross you walked in here with." What does that mean? Your problems and all of that shit was actually meant for you. And you don't want to take on somebody else's shit. You know how people say, "Oh, you wouldn't want to walk a mile in my shoes." You're goddamn right you wouldn't. You'll be you'll be jumping out them motherfuckers. Dog, come get your funky ass shoes. Wanna take my shoes, take my shit to the bathroom, get a toothbrush out and scrub on my shit for a little while. I don't want your shit. No. Jesus, take the wheel. Man. But yeah, our problems and our wounds are uniquely us. It was, by the way, you want to know? Well, the reason why it's uniquely us is because you the one who set that goddamn plan up in the first place before you got here. And so, that person's plan ain't gonna fit your plan, and that person's plan ain't gonna fit your plan because they wasn't with you when you made your plan. They just signed up to be the one to push you in the pool one time, and you get all butthurt about it. Somebody signed up to cheat on you, and you still butthurt about it. Somebody signed up to steal from you, and you still butthurt about it. But, hey, why'd you sign up for that shit? Deep down, they got a person I know. You keep talking about this last time here and all that shit. But I think maybe he just mad about what he signed himself up for. And like, man, fuck all this shit. 3, 2, 1. No response? Oh, all right. Call to action. In many interpretations, the wounded healer is compelled to help others because of their own unhealable pain. Chiron, in the myth, couldn't heal himself. I told y'all. So he poured his vast knowledge and wisdom into others. This creates a service-oriented drive. Ooh. And I just thought about something. Aquarius, it said right here, it says, pour his vast knowledge of wisdom to heal others. And Aquarius is the water bearer. And they got a motherfucker with Chiron and Gemini, got a jug full of water, and like, man, fuck y'all, go get your own water. I ain't pouring my shit. Jack and Jill went up the hill to fetch a pail of water. Hell, you better go fetch your own goddamn pot of water, because my jugs of water staying with me. I ain't pouring my shit down on the masses. Oh, shit, man. Shit, man. The journey is the healing. And Mental Reset last night was talking about the journey and how people, I'm not quoting him verbatim, but I think the message was too much focus on a destination got people missing on what this is all about, which is the journey itself. You can feel free to correct me if I was wrong. All right. So the journey is the healing. The process of healing is not a destination, but a continuous journey. You mean to tell me they don't got a building that says healed and only healed members can come in that motherfucker? They don't have a healed location, like marked on the map. The wounded healer is always engaged in a process of self-discovery and transformation. The active journey is what allows them to guide others. The active journey. You can't be active with lack of effort. You can't be active being passive. You can't be active being lazy. The wounded healer archetype is not about being a broken person who happens to help others. It's about how the active work is navigating one's own pain. Navigating one's own pain becomes the very source of one's ability to help others. The healing is not a separate, detached function. It's a direct result and active expression of the wounding. What does that mean, y'all? You want to know what it means? I've been telling y'all, I've been lying to myself and I've been lying to y'all. I told y'all that I didn't study astrology to tell y'all a goddamn thing. Well, I was wrong. I was wrong. Mark your tapes. An hour, 52 minutes. Paul was wrong. The Virgo. I ain't the Fonz. I can say the word wrong. Wrong. That ain't me. I was wrong. What was I wrong about? I was wrong that I was studying astrology just for me. I actually was studying, and I was studying that shit so I could have that conversation with Amy. That conversation with Amy just now was a perfect example of Chiron and the wounded healer, and how it goes down. All right. My Chiron is in Aries. It's in 11th house of internet technology. I'm up here streaming live. She comes in, she says some shit, and then I just look and be like, dot da dot da dot da dot dot da dot da dot da dot. She's like, oh shit, that's what I'm going through. How did you know? And all that. Well, I know because, hey, I had to take this route in my healing journey that is still ongoing. That is still a work in progress. What does that mean? Y'all ain't never heard me say, I'm healed and I ain't got nothing else to work on. I ain't never heard me say that shit. It's still an active process. Boundaries, protecting them, and staying strong and all that shit. You got to stay active with that shit. You just can't be like, hey, I'm here and now I ain't got nothing to do no more. It's all good. It don't work like that. Healing is active. Maybe I need to put that on the shirt. Healing is active, not passive. Sir, can I take your order? I have a number 9, the healing special. Medium rare. So, yeah, y'all. Let me, yeah, we at the 2-hour mark. Shit. I really wasn't even supposed to be on here that long. But time flies when you're having fun, as the saying says. Good company, good conversation, good weed. Can't beat that. And that's a good way to end. Thank y'all for rocking with me. Know that's all. Balance your energy.